Warner Brothers, as part of their latest budget-saving efforts, has recently decided to lay off workers in a company-wide memo. This is in an attempt to bring costs down by nearly $3 billion. It didn't take long for animation fans to realize that this wouldn't bode well for Cartoon Network. Let's look into what went down, the channel's future, and where the animation industry seems to be headed, starting with layoffs and mergers. Staffers from 82 Warner Brothers Television Group were given a pink slip on Tuesday, making up 19% of their workforce all across divisions that were unscripted, scripted, and animated. The company, at least according to Variety, has also decided not to fill in 43 open positions, bringing the total to 125 jobs, just 26% of the overall eliminated positions. While giving out details about the restructuring, they also announced that the head of animation at Warner Brothers, Sam Register, would now oversee Warner Brothers Animation, Cartoon Network Studios, and Hanna-Barbera Studios in Europe. These studios already share the same programming, casting, legal and business affairs, and artist relations teams. However, while the three would continue to exist, the former two studio productions teams would now be merging, meaning that for the first time in 3 decades, Cartoon Network Studios will not have an independent say on both operational and creative matters. As news and trends continued to spread, Cartoon Brew pointed out that this move could be a terrible thing for original animated content. CNS, for about 30 years, has been the one studio we could rely on to put out content that was truly original, especially cartoon specials that would turn into touchstones for entire generations of viewers. Despite this, their merger with WB seems to be an ominous hint towards them shifting from their original content, since WB is better known for putting out work with already established IPs. Furthermore, what's in Cartoon Network's future? We have Uncle Grandpa, Steven Universe, Over the Garden Wall, Clarence, Craig of the Creek, We Bare Bears, Infinity Train, Primal, and Summer Camp Island, just to name a few shows made by CNS. Comparatively, WB's lineup focuses more on already established characters such as in Bugs Bunny Builders, Batwheels, Animaniacs, Teen Titans Go, Jellystone, Aquaman King of Atlantis, The Tom and Jerry Show, Harley Quinn, and Justice League Action. While we don't know for sure what comes next, them going forward with this move is more than certainly a cause for alarm. And as news started hitting the internet, fans of the studio's work and people who grew up watching Cartoon Network took to Twitter to mourn what they considered the end of an era. Former general manager for the studio, who served as a key figure for 21 years, Brian Miller, voiced his opinion as well and expressed how disgusted this move made him. He said that while those 3 studios would technically still exist, they'd be nothing more than a label since the production teams would be merged. He even took a dig at Warner Brothers Discovery's president and CEO, David Zaslav, saying that he would stop at nothing to get more tax written off, even if that meant losing their fans. Moreover, fan reactions. As the news made its way to the internet, a lot of misinformation did as well. Most fans thought they'd soon be saying goodbye to one of their favorite channels, resulting in the RIP Cartoon Network trend popping off on Twitter. People all over the globe started tweeting out RIP Cartoon Network, thanking them for making their childhood amazing and for all the memories, with a lot of people calling it the GOAT of animation in their childhood. Adding to that, everyone agreed that no matter what anyone said, the channel had the best run till now from the 90s, including the best lineup of shows and the most all-time great hits. According to Collider, the merger was announced on Tuesday, with the company's chairman, Channing Dungey, sending out a memo to employees. All 3 studios are going to be under the control of the studio's president, Sam Register. While Variety reported that despite it, the studio would still put out mainly original content, the same as they've always done, that remains to be seen. Fans and critics both don't believe that they would stick to it, mainly because of WB's history, and that a lot of talent was just let go in a nasty corporate move. Lastly, where is the animation industry headed? While their move to merge studios is indeed something that nobody wanted or needed, except the people at the top trying to save some money, the animation industry as of late seems to move away from more child-friendly content and is gravitating more toward mature content. As we've seen in Netflix's Love, Death and Robots, the industry is taking on a more mature approach towards its work, trying to portray content that feels real and connected to people, delivering jaw-dropping stories with visuals that go beyond something that traditional films could pull off. Not that there's no place left for the CNS style of animated cartoon. Everyone would always love and welcome them, but at this point, the industry wants to grow out of its shell, and WB seems to be going in that direction as well. Now on to Best Cartoon Network Shows. Coming up, the GOATs. We can't start without mentioning Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, a mixture of everything the network has done right, making it their crown jewel. In the show, we're thrown into an enormous mansion that is home to loads of imaginary friends. These characters include Frankie, a human, a bunny called Mr. Harriman, and an older woman who made the home named Madame Foster. The Foster home's principal residents include Blue, Mac, Wilt, Coco, and Eduardo. show, and we even occasionally get to see the Duchess. Blue's the star of the show, who gets up to mischief in every single episode, accompanied by his human best friend Mac and his crew. Another show that's arguably the best they've made is Courage the Cowardly Dog, though even we're not sure how they managed to legally air it on a kids' TV channel. We're all the more glad they did. It was such a screwed up cartoon that it still gives us nightmares. It features a scared, poor old purple dog who had to face off against new creepy characters in each episode. Most of his encounters involved his extremely gullible parents, Muriel and Eustace Bagg. Moving on to their most memorable shows. Though Over the Garden Wall isn't that known, it's a 10-part series with each episode only lasting 11 minutes and still leaves its fans in tears. It follows the story of two brothers, Wirt and Greg, who get lost in a forest and are trying to find a way back home. Through each episode, they're stopped by either a place, creature, or even supernatural forces. Of course, we can't go on without mentioning the Powerpuff Girls, who have to fight against a list of recurring villains throughout the entirety of the show. Though let's admit it, we all loved the villains as well, especially Mojo Jojo, and one of the most terrifying ones in the channel's history, him. Next up, let's talk about Dexter's Laboratory. The title pretty much tells all we need to know about the plot. It's an aspiring child scientist who has a secret lab hidden behind his bookcase. There we see him running a multitude of experiments, which almost always end badly. On top of that, he has to deal with Dee Dee, his older sister, who loves to get involved in his work. Taking a look at a time before DC and Marvel had their shows, we're of course talking about Teen Titans. The show grouped younger versions of famous superheroes such as Robin, Starfire, Cyborg, Raven, and Beast Boy. All of them operate out of the Titans Tower and try to fight off a multitude of villains. Finally, some honorable mentions. Arguably one of the best shows they've come up with has to be The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Nothing compares to a show about two kids just chilling every day with the Grim Reaper. It had three main characters, Billy, Mandy, and Grim, who would usually just be hanging out, but something they do would throw them into wild adventures such as traveling to the underworld or encountering tons of different creatures and problems. One of the more recent shows that have been straight up hits has to include Adventure Time, which just ended in 2018 after running for 10 entire seasons. The show features Finn and Jake, a human and a dog, who go across the land of Ooh looking for adventure. Last but not least in our mentions has to be The Regular Show, which is still one of the major draws on the channel. The show is about Mordecai and Rigby, two friends from their early 20s who are also groundkeepers at a park. That's a wrap for this video. What are your thoughts on the merger? Do you think CN's just trying to make it in the industry, or do you think the higher-ups are trying to take away our childhood favorites? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.